We're going to continue our focus on local government and a broken infrastructure. South Africa has a massive water supply crisis. We're told it's aging water infrastructure. We've also been reporting on corruption and mismanagement in some municipalities are part of the blame. Areas like the Vaal, clean water supply has been hampered because of raw sewage spilling into the Vaal River and surrounding. So what can we do to try and get on top of this, and why is it taking so long? Department of Water and Sanitation's Sputnik Ratau joining us this morning. Sputnik, it's good to have you on. There's a lot of very angry people this morning who want me to ask you a lot of questions. I can't get through all of them, but can we just first of all find out what's happening in the Vaal, because this is becoming a human rights issue. They haven't had clean water for ages now. Good morning. Sputnik, I suspect you might be on mute. Maybe just unmute for me and start again.
Can you hear me now?
I've got you. Go ahead. Morning, Sputnik. What are we going to do about the Vaal?
Apologies for that. It's not what are we going to do about the Vaal. The Vaal project is underway. Water is on the ground. They've got their contractors on the ground. There is work happening. Probably what we need to do is to take some of the media people to the places where there has been some resolution of some of the difficulties that has been there. But remember that we did put it out into the public that the Vaal matter is not going to be resolved in like 2 weeks or 2 months. But the work is ongoing, as we had reported earlier on in the year when the first contracts were put out. That work is ongoing. We are going to need a lot of patience. It has not been a very good place to be patient, but there is work ongoing, and we will be reporting on that on an ongoing basis, like I have said.
Experts are saying it's a ticking time bomb. They're starting to compare the Department of Water and Sanitation to Eskom. What do you make of that critique?
Look, there's the issue that we have accepted and agreed upon, that we have a very good amount of bulk infrastructure that is in place, the bulk infrastructure that is operating optimally. But that bulk infrastructure is not helpful if it does not work in tandem or in direct cooperation with reticulation infrastructure that is also operating optimally. So that kind of relationship is important, and that is what we have agreed together with the Department of Cocta and others, that we have to make sure that that relationship and that symbiotic operation between bulk and reticulation has got to be for the benefit of all that need to have this running water, not just passing by them, but as well as where households are able to access that. And that is why the National Water and Sanitation Master Plan speaks to that. What we came out of the summit in February as well has indicated that kind of issue, and that is why the decision was that on a quarterly basis there needs to be progress reports that get to the ministers of Cocta, DWS, National Treasury, and others that must indicate what progress has been made coming out of those discussions and agreement that we had. But it is important that the reticulation infrastructure also comes to a point of optimal operation, and that is where the crunch is.
One of the big crunch points as well, Sputnik, I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but one of the other big crunch points is the anger of residents. We're seeing increases in daily costs. We know that the price we're all paying for water and electricity has gone up. So on the water side, we're paying more tax, but residents are complaining they're not getting what they're paying for. They want to know where their money is going.
That is true. Obviously, you must always be able to compare what you are paying for and what you are receiving. And that is why it has been important for us to also identify the fact that if billing systems are not in place, or if billing systems are not functional, then the issue of collecting revenue becomes a difficulty. Secondly, you are not able to then say who actually is paying for what services. So all of those things also are an indication of where we need to go. But I think one of the important factors is that we're working in cooperation with municipalities. We have identified those municipalities where most of these difficulties are. And what we have said, and if you go back to some of the pronouncements of the minister in regard to that, is that it cannot be that it is only a question of receiving money from National Department of Water and Sanitation when there is no equal commitment from the receiving municipality. So it is a question of what money is being needed, but also what capacity is there to spend. Because in a lot of times we have seen, budget being returned to national government or through the national treasury process that should have done some work in that financial year. So the issue of rollovers, the issue of money being returned to Treasury is something that needs to really come to a point where we do not experience that at some point.
Yeah, we can't have money going back that's been budgeted for. It ends up going back into the fiscus and it doesn't get rewarded again the next year because it wasn't handled properly. Sputnik, I need to just try and leave this question to you as briefly as possible. Residents in Tshwane, Johannesburg, Ekurhuleni and Mogale City still complaining months later that infrastructure that's gone in is not providing clean drinking water. What do you tell those residents this morning before I say goodbye?
You know, the water that we receive from rainwater is of well standard. That's the first thing. Where there is going to be failure in infrastructure that leads to contamination, those particular areas would need attention. And therefore, it would be difficult to say on a general basis, this is what is happening. The reality is that on a general basis, the quality of drinking water is well standard, but where there is failure, those are the areas that need to be attended to. And I think in the minister's budget vote address tomorrow, part of those issues will be raised and he will be able to address most of them.
Well, we wait for the minister's budget speech then as well. As far as water and sanitation is concerned, there's a lot to talk about, but I appreciate the spokesperson's time. From Sanitation and Water Department, Sputnik Ratau.